That's Kelsey's team now.
Did your wife do the Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map thing?
No. What do you mean?
So it's a thing that wives are videoing this. So Robin did it to me in bed the other day. And she's like,
what's going on?
Listen, so wives are saying, like, oh my God, Taylor.
Ready to edit this.
Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map. And I turned to her, I'm like, what? She's like, Taylor Swift. I said, who's telling you this? Where are you getting this from?
It's viral.
And she started cracking up because I was like, it was so obvious that she was like acting. I was like, you don't, what do you?
Did she post you reacting to this?
No, she said it to her friend. And then she showed me her friend's video and the husband, same thing. He's like, what are you talking about? Travis Kelce is already famous. Every husband is reacting the same way.
Yeah. Well, Travis Kelce hosted Saturday Night Live last season. Like, he is already
he's a celebrity.
famous.
He's a celebrity.
And one of the best players in the league. But now, I feel like if I'm Patrick Mahomes, I gotta see he can't get a celebrity girlfriend because he's married.
Yeah. So she's going to MetLife this weekend.
Oh, that's gonna be pandemonium. I'm awaiting the memes.
John, could we throw up this video?
Okay, that's good.
But did you guys see the jump in like jersey sales and everything?
Crazy.
Sold out his jersey everywhere.
It's the Taylor Swift effect.
Ben had a good tweet.
NFL.
Ben said something like, if Taylor Swift would just endorse target date funds, we would solve the retirement crisis.
That would be amazing.
She really, though, is that powerful. I was trying to think of, like, is there a comp in our lifetimes? And I came up with, like, Michael Jackson, like, in the 80s.
Right.
Like, before. She's probably bigger than Madonna ever was, would be my guess.
But she drives. I feel like, was Michael Jackson more than ticket sales? Like, were people wearing his gloves and stuff?
I think Bank of America did this over the summer during the Eras tour. They actually could track upticks in credit card and debit card spending in the cities she was performing. Like, all the hotels filled up. She's like an economic...
She's an economy.
She's an economic event, like, wherever she goes.
But I was asking Ben a couple of weeks ago, what's her market cap? Like, if she was publicly traded, what would her market cap be?
Like Nvidia.
$5 billion?
She's a Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla. Yeah.
Actually, no, she's not. She's not as controversial as a Tesla.
No,
she's
the
an
United.
Nvidia.
Did you guys? So Mark Zuckerberg unveiled smart glasses yesterday. John, turn this up if we can.
That are built and shipping with Meta AI in them. Starting in the US, you're going to get this state-of-the-art AI that you can interact with, hands-free, wherever you go. We're going to be issuing a free software update to the glasses that makes them multimodal. So the glasses are going to be able to understand what you're looking at when you ask them questions. So if you want to know what the building is that you're standing in front of, or if you want to translate a sign that's in front of you to know what it's saying, or if you need help fixing this sad, leaky faucet, you can basically just talk to Meta AI and look at it, and it'll walk you through it step by step how to do it. We built in one more feature into these smart glasses. You are going to be able to live stream to your friends and followers.
Yes.
Your glasses.
Everybody is ready to race, and I am getting ready to. Let's go. Switching to glasses.
Being able to share what you're doing live with your friends
Oh, no way.
and followers. will
Can you
stay
imagine
The
the
world is
On
not ready.
Instagram.
The world is
Going
not ready
forward.
for this.
smart glasses. So, all right, these Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, we're launching them on October 17th.
$8,000.
Starting at $299.
Not bad.
That's it?
Really looking forward to seeing what you all think of
I'm
it.
super bullish on this. I think that's pretty sweet.
So we should just assume that we're all being surveilled at all times and be paranoid of anyone who wears glasses.
Plus, they're the ones wearing the glasses, so they're the only ones not being surveilled.
Right. They're behind the camera.
But the
technically.
glasses they're Ray-Bans. They're like good-looking glasses, and they're going to be functional. I think they're going to be a home run.
What
I'm
is-
worried
On
about
the
the creeps
lookout.
who would wear this,
It
though.
would be creepy.
Oh,
Look-
there's
look
going to be
out
so
for
many
these
creeps. So many creeps.
That's,
Yeah,
like,
like
that's
on the
actually the first adopters
Yeah.
are the creeps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very weird getting used to this world. I don't. What does
It's
this
inevitable.
do? What does this do to the Apple glasses thing? Like, does this make them speed up, or I don't know?
Whatever
I didn't know they
happened-
were working on them.
Whatever happened to that? I don't know.
Was it Google glasses? Who had the
Do you mean the
glasses
Google
that
thing?
totally failed?
Google
No,
did.
Yeah.
Apple had like the
Oh, sorry.
goggles,
Okay.
Oh,
Also,
no, that's
I'm
coming.
confused.
That looks sick.
but that's not this.
No, that's not that.
Okay.
Apple is VR.
Yeah. You gonna wear these things? Can you
Probably
think of
not,
anything you
but-
do during the course of the day that you would need to go live from your glasses that other people would?
It's not, but it's not just going live. It does a lot of other shit too. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going live. I can't wait for the Apple headset. I'm not going to get the first one because it's a fortune, but imagine being on an airplane and like watching an IMAX movie
Yeah,
on like a 100-foot screen. Just
that is cool.
Totally.
I'll get the Apple thing before I get the Facebook thing.
But that's totally different. That's VR.
yeah.
yeah, no.
different.
I was just saying it's like that's where we are now. Is like basically helmets.
Yeah.
Like this is this is where we're going.
You're going to be able to watch like a game courtside at the Garden on your couch with the headset, not with Facebook with the Apple thing. Eventually,
If Mark Zuckerberg wants to sell these things, the most important thing is he has to not personally walk around wearing them. like that would actually deter sales. He has to like let other people do it.
Agreed.
And be in the background. So I don't think people want to be Mark Zuckerberg, or he has to get some famous people that want to be the face of this thing.
I mean, he's upped his cool factor lately
Totally.
with the whole Elon
Yeah.
matchup, right? That's
Yes.
like boosted his
That's
public
true.
persona
and he got
big
ripped.
time.
He got ripped. It helps.
That's true, and he could definitely fight if you watch his videos.
Yeah.
Like he kind of knows what he's doing. So maybe he's cool enough to sell the glasses.
You guys are
Or at
following.
least cooler than Elon.
We had a big guest last week. You guys are following a legend. We had Jeremy Grantham in the seat.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
That
no
was
pressure.
great.
No pressure.
I can't believe we're following Grantham before that or not. Yeah.
Wasn't he so sharp?
He was so good.
People were like going crazy for that video or that podcast. Like we got a ton of feedback. We got what? What did I do?
No, it's something else.
We got a ton of feedback, and like one of the things that kept coming up was I always thought he was perma bear. I didn't realize that there was like a lot more to the story, and that's a little bit like because of social media and traditional media, it's easiest to just label people and just be like, oh, this perma bear. And then it's like almost like a shortcut to have to actually explain all the nuance.
Yeah.
But he kind of broke that stereotype a little bit, and I was happy for him. Not
This
that
show does that.
yeah. Well, we give people more than 30 seconds to talk. And
We'll give you your true self. It'll all come out.
it's all gonna
Oh,
come.
brother.
It's all gonna come. Right. Exactly.
John, we ready to get the show started? Nicole?
Yep, let's do this.
Oh, that was all cold open?
Very cold.
Oh, I see.
It actually is cold. in here.
I was all nervous
All
about
right.
spitting out my gun.
What show is it, Nicole?
The Compound and Friends, episode 111.
Today's episode of The Compound and Friends is brought to you by Wealth.com. Wealth.com is the industry's fastest growing estate planning platform.
That's right, Michael. Their technology is unparalleled. They are the only end-to-end estate planning platform for creating legal documents, bringing them to life through crisp visual flowcharts, and helping advisors optimize plans using AI.
Wealth.com is fully dedicated to helping financial advisors deliver on their clients' estate planning needs and can only be accessed through a financial advisor. Mr. Brian Hamburger has joined as a strategic advisor. Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, I met these guys at Future Proof. They won on the demo drop stage, and that was pretty cool. I took a bunch of pictures with them after. Why do you think they won? What was
Because they were the best in show.
All right, that'll do it. All right, thanks to Wealth.com. If you're a financial advisor, check out their platform. It might come in handy.
Go to wealth.com/compound to learn more.
111, ladies and gentlemen. All right. This is a good one. Guys, I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. We have two very smart people who have come here today to tell us what's going on in the markets. We have a returning guest, Perth Toll. Perth is the founder of Life and Liberty Indexes and sponsor of the Freedom 100 EM ETF, the world's first freedom-weighted EM ETF. Prior to the Freedom Index, Perth was an advisor at Fidelity. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I thought about it this morning. You were one of the first people to do video with us. You don't remember this.
Neither do I.
In 2018, when we were just...
I do remember
You
this.
do remember this.
Side by
Yes.
side.
Michael doesn't.
No, now side by side. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I came for what are your thoughts? Because I was
Yeah.
just in the office randomly.
I'm like,
And
yo,
you
you
threw
want to
me
do
on
a
there.
video? You're
It
like,
was so
yeah.
much fun.
That was pretty cool.
Yes.
I couldn't get you to do that now. You're too big time now.
No.
All right.
Anytime.
All right. Also with us today, Gunjan Banerjee. Gunjan is the lead writer for the Wall Street Journal's live markets coverage and a CNBC contributor. Gunjan led the Journal's award-winning coverage of meme stock mania. How did that go for you? Was it fun?
It was a blast.
That was
it was
fun, right?
the craziest story I've ever covered.
Okay.
It was unbelievable.
And your reporting on GameStop went on to be the basis for an Emmy-nominated Netflix documentary, which I have not seen. What is it called again?
Eat the Rich.
Okay. All right. And prior to the Journal, you wrote about distressed debt and munis at DebtWire. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me,
All
guys.
right. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I gotta do one thing with Perth really quickly.
Take your time.
When I saw you at Future Proof 2 weeks ago, so I'm sitting in the tent with Rob Arnott, and both Rob and myself were people who met you really early on
Yes.
in your journey. You basically had a back test and an idea, and that's it.
Yeah.
And, right?
I wouldn't even say I had much of a back test.
Yeah, the back test was completely false. No, I'm kidding. No, but you were like, look, I have this idea.
Yeah.
I know it's the right thing to do. I know it's going to be a superior way to invest. And I want to weight all of the countries around the world by how free their society is. And emerging markets, right. So, but it was quantitative. It wasn't squishy. And, you took an approach that I think most people investing in EM just had never even considered, but that's all you had. And Rob met you, I met you, and we were both like, encouraging and, hey, you should do this.
Absolutely.
And
So encouraging.
yeah. So, but we got to see you in a full circle moment. You came backstage.
That was a full circle moment.
Wasn't that cool?
That was so
I was
cool.
there. I was there too.
Were you there?
Mike was there.
But I didn't realize it. Are you managing $600 million now?
Yes.
Is that? Oh my God.
The fun.
Round of
The
applause.
fun is managing. Round of applause for the team.
You did it.
It's a team. Yes,
But
thank
you
you.
did it. But listen, you were showing up at events carrying your kid in your arms. Like, you were, though. You,
He's
hustled.
exaggerating. My kid was like 9. Yeah.
Still, you hustled. Like, you did this thing that almost nobody could do.
Thank you
And
so much.
It's to
Dude.
me, it's very inspiring.
Michael was there from the beginning too. He was there the
Thank
full
you,
circle
Perth.
moment
Michael
and the first
also
day.
played a role. When I
Thank you,
say
Perth.
me, I mean me and Michael.
Okay.
Like, he's an extension of me in this example.
Okay.
I didn't mean to completely exclude him.
I'm not as self back patty as Josh is, but
No, I don't want any credit for this. I want you to get credit for
No,
this.
but actually, do you know the first time I met you guys in that old office over by MetLife
Yeah.
in the MetLife
The
building?
sublease.
I had just done a bunch of meetings in New York, all of them terrible. I show up there like 1 hour before I had to go to the airport because Barry invited me. It's like, come talk to Josh. And Michael was there. And I was just like, man, I don't even care anymore. Like, is there a bathroom? Like, I literally just, remember?
Yeah.
And
did we
then,
give you a shot in the arm?
Yes.
Wait, hold on.
You guys heard, what?
Oh, say.
You guys
say
heard the
thing.
idea. You loved it. You said, "Can I be on your board?" I don't have it. I didn't have it. I was like, "I don't." Sure, I don't have a board.
Like, yeah, you're on the
I
board.
literally
I'll let you
made-
know when
yeah.
it's ready. Right. But you did it. We're so proud of you. That's the most on brand Barry thing I've ever heard.
What's
Yeah.
that?
She's like in touch with Barry. He's like, yeah, come have a meeting with Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
He does that to
exactly.
Michael.
He wasn't
does
even
that to
there.
Michael once a week.
No, and then Josh tweeted, and this is like I have maybe like 300 followers on Twitter or something like that, and Josh tweeted, "Hey, just met Perth. She's awesome." And then I get off the airplane. I have like 5 times the amount of followers. I was like, "What the heck just happened?" It was
I
the
am
Josh
very-
Brown tweet effect.
I'm
That's
very powerful.
Back when he was on Twitter. Now
I don't
he's
do that anymore.
Now he's too powerful.
All right. Amazon antitrust suit is probably the big story or one of the big stories of the week.
A lot of big stories this week.
So everyone knew this was coming. Maybe from the moment Joe Biden appointed Lena Khan, she wrote a paper in 2017 basically announcing her intention to go after Amazon and why the government should curtail their ability to do what they do, which is please consumers. But okay, it's a whole other.
I'm sorry. What do you mean everyone knew this was coming? Is that why you bought Amazon stock 2 weeks ago? You knew this was coming?
No, I didn't know the date it was coming, but everyone knew there was an antitrust suit coming.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't a secret. It was openly discussed. The timing kind of came out of nowhere this week, but for all intents and purposes, it definitely knocked the stock down. Curious what your thoughts are. Gunjan, tell us when you saw both the government suit, and 17 states' attorneys general sign on to it, which I think was surprising. And then you saw the company's reaction. What was your big takeaway?
I would agree that I think a lot of people saw this coming. What was surprising to me was when I was looking at some data on buying activity, there's been a ton of buying activity of Amazon stock this week, especially among retail investors.
Yeah.
And it continues this trend throughout this year, throughout last year, when tech stocks got crushed, where people just don't think these FANG stocks can kind of lose their status. And they just keep buying. Every time there's dips in FANG, they're like, I just want to buy more Amazon. And I think that's happened this week.
Yeah. I don't think that investors are pricing in any scenario. Like, they knocked the stock down, but I don't think, because these things go on for years. So I don't feel like anyone is assigning a dollar value. I think the relief maybe is that they're not calling specifically for a breakup, but they could. But it seems like it's a monetary fine.
I was saying, what's the worst that happens? They pay a fine?
$250 million fine.
Yeah.
And they maybe change 2 or 3 things about what. Did you read any of the suit itself, or
I didn't read the suit itself, but I mean, my thought on what you just said is anybody can sue for anything here in this country. So it doesn't mean anything's going to happen out of it. I don't see why it would prevent people from wanting to buy. And I do think it's ridiculous that they're suing for Amazon providing a value for their clients, providing a value.
Well, here's what they're saying. Tell me what you think of this. The case they're making is that Amazon services are so interlocked that if you're a third-party seller on the internet, you literally can't avoid them. Amazon is selling its logistics and shipping services to the third-party seller,
Which you have to use.
which you basically have to use.
Okay.
And
So
the
Prime, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the problem with that is the government is saying the problem with that is that every $2 you're doing in sales, $1 goes to Amazon. Amazon's answer to that is, well, we tried it the other way. We let third-party sellers handle their own fulfillment, and it was a horrible customer experience because we're just better at it.
I thought this was weird. This is directly from the site. The complaint alleges that Amazon violates the law not because it is big, but because it engages in a course of exclusionary conduct that prevents current competitors from growing and new competitors from emerging. By stifling competition on price, product selection, quality, and by preventing its current or future rivals from attracting a critical mass of shoppers and sellers, Amazon ensures that no current or future rival can threaten its dominance. To which Ben Thompson of Stratechery wrote, "It's
Stratechery?
Stratechery.
I feel like it's a
Stratech. Yeah, probably right. It seems eminently reasonable to me that Amazon predicate inclusion in a program defined by a shipping guarantee on letting Amazon deliver your products. Prime was a massive risk at the time, dwarfed only by the many billions of dollars that Amazon has spent since then building out its logistics network. I see no basis on which a government regulator ought to demand that Amazon give out access to the Prime label and bear the reputation risk for third-party delivery services that did not take those risks or make those investments. It's absurd."
So I'm
inclined to agree with him.
Good point.
I kind of agree with that. If you have a customer buying something from you and you can control them getting a good outcome, like, you should be able to do that.
I also thought it was weird where, again, just they said exclusionary conduct that prevents current competitors from growing and new competitors from emerging. Isn't that sort of what business is? It's not like they're doing it in a way that's harming. Now, you could say that they're making it difficult for people to use their platform. Okay, fine. It's their platform.
Yeah.
They built it.
Are we saying they don't compete with Walmart and Target?
Right. So to that point, in terms of how much, if you're considering them a monopoly, so this is from Ben Evans. Amazon has only single digits worth of market share in total retail. If you consider all of e-commerce, they're at 35%. So again, within all of retail, they're single digits. It's not as if they're hardly the only game in town.
How mad would the FTC be if Amazon takes out a new high this year, like in the midst of this suit? I feel like part of the intention here is to try to stop companies from getting this big and powerful to begin with. Even if they lose the suit, just the fact that they're bringing it, I feel like they want there to be some sort of a chilling effect on big tech. If these stocks, to your point, people are still buying these stocks anyway. If this thing keeps going higher, it's almost like a slap in the face, no?
It's still in a big drawdown. I mean, what's it like, 30%, let's say, 33% off its high.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. I mean, I feel like we're going to be talking about this for.
By the
a
way,
long
meanwhile,
time.
over the last 3 years, Amazon's down 18%.
Doesn't seem like a monopolist.
It's so the S&P is up 35,
That's pretty crazy.
and the Qs are up, about the same. So Amazon's underperforming. It's over 3 years, like big time.
I just feel like all of these businesses could go to another platform if they don't like it,
Well, Shopify. So I mean,
which is down more.
But
Right?
then they wouldn't have access to as many
Right. So
customers,
their benefit from being on the platform is greater than their cost, obviously. So there you go.
right. What Amazon is giving them is visibility.
Yeah.
But then they complain that like if there's a hot selling item, Amazon will see that and they'll push their own item in front of it, which I mean, maybe they're doing. I would have no.
So that's part of the cost then. Of
Yeah,
working with
that's
Amazon.
part of the cost. They're both your provider and you compete with them. So I don't feel as though this story is going to hang over the stock for very long, just because of the nature of these things.
So we know this isn't your beat. It's not ours either, but it's just big news that we have to discuss. OpenAI, they're talking about valuing the company. So they're selling shares at $90 billion. $90 billion. They did $1 billion in revenue last year. Now,
Who are they selling shares to?
So this is existing shareholders. I'm sorry, existing employees getting out. But Sam Altman said that there's no plans for this company to ever go public. We'll see. So they're getting some liquidity for early employees, which is reasonable. But $90 billion, obviously, if they do get there, even 80, that sets the floor because they're going to raise more money.
Did you think that we would see this much interest in AI like 6 months ago? Did you think that this would be anything more than like a few weeks of hype? This is like now we're in the 6th or 7th month of this.
I did not at all. And I think a lot of people have been caught off guard by just how the AI frenzy has totally driven the S&P 500 up this year, and the extent to which investors are just all gung-ho about it, right? No one's even questioning
S&P
it.
500 is driving up, semiconductor stocks in the emerging markets, TSMC and such.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was saying I think it saved the stock market this year. Do you think that's too much?
I don't think it's too much.
I don't think it's too much. What's so fascinating is I remember at the end of last year, every time I would talk to investors, they were betting on a rally in value. They were betting on a cyclical recovery
That's right.
and for this big stock market rotation. And it's just so not what has played out this year. So I don't think a lot of people were positioned for this.
I think NASDAQ up 25% year to date still, even with the sell-off this month. And what is the S&P up?
Couple percent.
A few percent, right? And is the Dow negative on the year now?
No, the S&P I think is up more than 10% this year so
Still?
far.
No,
Yeah.
10 and then Dow minus 1 or something.
Down. Yeah, roughly flat.
Wow.
So that, all right. So
Hey,
that,
Gunjan, I want to ask you. So Ben and I love reading reports from the Journal and other editorials, publications, where you find man or woman on the street, right? Just how do you do that? Like literally, are you?
they're talking about like your quotes.
So
from,
it's quoting like Mr. and or Mrs. Smith, and I'm just
Yeah.
like we always sort of chuckle at that. How do you find these
She
people?
stands on Avenue of the Americas.
Like literally.
at 48th Street.
Can you peel back the curtain a little bit?
Sure. I mean, that is, I think one of my favorite parts of my job is I love chatting with professional investors. They're super smart. But individual investors are also really smart. And I love hearing what they're doing with their money. Like, actually, like how big is their portfolio? How much money are they putting in this stock versus that stock? Or
Where do you find them?
a lot on social media.
Okay.
I started getting a lot of emails too. So I keep track of the people that email
Get
me.
like
You have
readers.
regulars? Regular
yeah.
emailers?
Yeah, I have regulars.
She has a fan base.
Are they super excited? I mean, it's the Wall Street Journal.
Well, to
You
be
have
honest, some
to monetize
people
the fan base. It's very important.
teach me how to do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you selling?
There,
Are
on
you
your
selling them
replies.
hoodies with your face
Yeah.
on it?
No, I'm not doing
All right. So these
that.
are people that read your articles at the Journal,
Yeah.
and they write to tell you what they think of the article.
Yep.
And then you have now quote unquote sources. You have people that you could say, "Hey, I'm doing a story on blank. What do you think?"
Totally. Or I'm on Twitter or Reddit or these days even Instagram. People will DM me on Instagram to talk about stocks. It's kind of crazy. And this did not happen a few years
And is
ago.
it always Tesla, Nvidia for the most part?
It's not always Tesla, Nvidia. It's a lot of that for sure. But you'd be surprised. Like some people want to talk about small caps. Some people still want to talk about the memes. So yeah, I'll reach out to those people. I'll do a lot of cold outreach on Twitter, Reddit, all these different forums.
Are the meme stock's dead? So GameStop today announced that Ryan Cohen is going to be CEO. AMC's down 98% from its highs. GameStop's down 80%.
I think for the most part, the meme stocks have had a revival from time to time, but it's not, the magic is gone.
It's gone.
It's not 2021.
It's gone.
Like this year, Tupperware, Yellow, these stocks rallying. You're not seeing
Rite Aid.
But no, it's
Yes.
weird. So the meme stocks are gone, but the people haven't left, because if you look at retail investor volume as a percentage of the overall market or options trading, like this is what I was saying in 2020. Like I think even though this bull market will not end well with respect to the meme stocks, gambling is addictive, and it's very hard to unlearn that or get that behavior out of your system. Like that shit, it hooks you.
It does. And the line between gambling and investing has never been thinner, in part thanks to things like options, which have completely taken off over the past few years.
They're so much fun.
Well, everyday investors were not trading these things as much as they are now, and especially with this boom in one-day options trading. Like that's like taking a shot of tequila instead of nursing a Pilsner. Like
Do
it just
do
hits
those
you a lot
people
harder.
email you or DM you? I feel like
Yeah.
those are DMers. The one
Those
day
are
option,
DMers.
Yeah, the one day option crowd is not sending an email and waiting for a reply, right?
I mean, I did recently write about these one-day options, and I got a decent number of emails. But it's a lot of people on Twitter. They're using hashtags like lotto trades. They're still posting screenshots of 1,000% return, 5,000% return.
Sounds legit.
They're in and out of these positions within minutes, if not hours or seconds.
I think it was an article that you wrote, or maybe one of your colleagues. Ben and I were talking about this a week or two ago. There was one person that you mentioned, that you highlighted, and he said that like he's doing his 401k and doing the whatever the boring stuff, and like this is his fun. And I think that, are there people that are overdoing it recklessly and being, yeah, of course there always are, but I think that for a lot of people, like they're doing it reasonably responsibly.
Yes, I would totally agree. And there are ways to use options in a responsible way, right?
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. They're totally gambling. But my point is, they're investing in one bucket, like long-term retirement savings, like set and forget it, and then they're also having fun with the other bucket.
So that guy you're talking about, he told me Robinhood was his gambling account. He has another
Yes.
Fidelity account.
Yeah, so what's wrong with that? I think that's fine.
You know, one thing it's not wrong with it. If he wants to do it, it's fine. But I think one word of caution is he told me he had put $5,000 or $10,000 into that gambling account 10 times in a row, and it went to zero
All right,
10 times
well,
in a row.
That's a different story.
But
That's reckless.
People go to Vegas. People buy boats.
Yep.
Like people just choose. This is how I want to burn light my money on fire. And if that's when, personally, if I'm gonna gamble, I'd rather gamble. I don't like gambling. If I were to gamble, I'd probably rather go to Vegas and have the whole experience rather than just sit on my phone pressing buttons.
You want to be at the win.
Yeah, but again, it's like it's America.
I mean, the danger there is like, so I bet on sports, but it's like, it's one day a week. It's like Sunday, right? Like with the stock market, it's 5 days a week. It's 9 hours a day or whatever many days. Like it could be,
Crypto was 24 hours.
yeah. Like it could turn pretty dark.
You want to hear something funny? I was talking to the guys from Public this week.
Yeah.
And they told me the number one thing going on their platform now is 6-month T-bills. So
Cash is so hot right now.
Some new meme stuff.
Yeah.
we
Wow.
went from NFTs to T-bills for this generation of investors in
What a world.
18 months.
What a
That's
world.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. That's the number one thing they're doing.
Wow.
So Masayoshi's son is back, or he's creeping in the wings with this OpenAI thing. So they're letting existing employees who have been there early get out, reasonable, normal. If they're not going public, they want some liquidity. But they said OpenAI is widely, this is from the journal, OpenAI is widely expected to raise more money by issuing new shares. Altman is already fielding intense, I love that word in this paragraph, intense interest from investment giants like Masayoshi's son, because of course. And then also, The Information had an article where they said Johnny Ive, so it's like AI hardware. And they wouldn't specify because they don't really know. They're speculating. I guess maybe similar to the glasses, who knows. Johnny Ive, the renowned designer of the iPhone, and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman have been discussing building a new AI hardware device. SoftBank CEO and investor Masayoshi Son has talked to both about the idea.
What does that mean? Like a server?
They were just speculating. They don't know.
A chip that goes into your brain, reads your mind, and then writes a story.
I want there to be this thing where like there's so many books that I want to read that I will never read. Like just let me download it instantly.
Upload it.
Fine, upload it into my brain, right into my brain.
Oh my gosh.
then you missed the
learning by
fun part.
I know,
osmosis.
I
No,
know.
that would be great.
But
I'm
what
with you.
like there'll be a war where people are like you read books, you don't just get them uploaded to your brain.
Yeah, right? No, that's a great idea.
Thank you.
I would invest in that.
Thank you.
So
I'm with Sam Altman. Yep.
Gunjan, you noted that several big companies are now venturing into hardware, but for the most part, it's still just like a hobby for them. I don't know. When you see Zuckerberg's glasses, that feels like it's going to be more than a
That
hobby.
looks real.
I don't know. What do you think?
We don't know what the upside is, right? And I have to give a hat tip to my colleague at the Journal, Dan Gallagher, who had this great piece on how it's kind of a sideshow so far. He said devices made up just under 3% of Microsoft's total revenue for the fiscal year ending in June, and it's a similar figure for Alphabet. So this is still not a meaningful revenue driver for these heavyweights.
We haven't seen a lot of success here. Like you think of
I mean, AirPods and watches are monsters.
Apple is a hardware company. I'm talking about Amazon's Fire Phone or all those HomePod devices that was Google. You're not
Even the
seeing
Alexa was a flop.
You're not seeing like the Alexa devices as much as you used to. I can't think of a sustained success in hardware, to your point, from any of the big tech giants. That's probably why Apple makes so much money. Everything that's going on is running through Apple hardware in the end, and they're getting paid on all of it. So that much has not changed. So I think that's a really good point.
Parth, what you got? What are you pointing to?
I'm just looking at the Google glasses. Remember those things?
Yeah, they were.
And
They
you
were
look at-
super dorky.
They
Yeah,
were
so dorky.
hideous, and they were like $1,000, right? So
Oh,
it's
Mark
a completely
Andreessen like
different-
posed with them on, and that picture like became a meme, like him wearing the Google Glass. Again, the wrong person to be modeling the Google Glass if you wanted it to work.
The most beautiful person in the world could not make those things.
We need Taylor Swift for
Taylor
those.
Swift could probably do it. Let's talk. Is Nvidia the new Tesla? I find this interesting. I think every year there's that one stock that everyone's fixated on. In recent times, it's been a tech stock. I guess Tesla is like sort of a tech stock, but like it wasn't always this way. Like 15 years ago, its stock was Green Mountain Coffee Roasters.
I shorted that
I'm telling you guys, I was around for this.
before it got taken over.
It was more if this is possible, I hope Herb Greenberg is listening to this. If it's possible, it was more controversial than Tesla in its day. It had every brand name short seller like furiously writing columns and giving quotes to. There was no Twitter yet. Just giving quotes to reporters 24/7 about what a fraud it was. We're literally talking about K-Cups.
By the way, it got bought by Pepsi.
Yeah, it ended up getting
Coke or
acquired. But it was like, so every year there's something like that. Monster Energy drink was one. Anyway, these days it's almost always a tech stock, and this year it's Nvidia. Why is this? I mean, I know it's up a lot. Why is this generating so much heat, do you think?
I mean, I think it's just become that quintessential story stock. I remember, to your point about the Tesla DMs, for a while it felt like buying Tesla call options was free money. You'd buy them in the morning, sell them in the evening, and you got rich, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Nvidia feels like this year. Like I can't help but think of the
it's
$1,000 price
Yeah.
target on it.
And Tesla is down 40% this year, which
Is it?
down 40% from its high, I should say, not this year. Nvidia breaking $1 trillion market cap means a ton of regular people got rich alongside of like Wall Street money managers.
And guess what? Nvidia's still trading great. So it had that huge gap high. It was up like 30% after it upped its guidance from like 7 to 11 billion 2 quarters ago. And it's still higher from there. It did not get into the gap at all. During the pullback, I mean, the stock's still trading great.
I don't know. Thoughts on Nvidia?
I was at a kids event where another child's grandparent asked me about NVIDIA.
Because you work in finance?
Yeah.
So you say buy or sell.
I said, it's high.
The kids were playing with GPUs.
Put this, John, put this chart up. Call and put options on Nvidia. Like this, to me, this qualifies as like a mania. And I bet it can go higher from here.
But there's also a lot of people betting against it.
Yeah,
It's like 2 to 1.
by definition, somebody has to be on the other side of every trade. The 4 million contracts. What is this? A day?
Yep, this was daily volumes, and the reason I compare it to Tesla is that similar to Tesla, the options market has taken on a life of its own.
Yeah.
Where it's been the second most popular options trade in the entire market this year. I do think a lot of retail investors who've been playing Nvidia options ahead of the past earnings lost money because there was this huge run up, ton of call options trading. The stock was unchanged after its earnings. So that means that you spent a ton of money buying
Everyone
options.
lost except for the sellers.
Yeah.
Oh, it rallied into the earnings.
It was flat.
I didn't remember
It was
that.
up, then it closed down. It closed way off its highs, but it was flat for the day. So only the option sellers made money. So in the call options, the buyers of the call options, I'm guessing are mostly retail investors. Wall Street's making a fortune off them.
I'm sure there's a mix. There's definitely a lot of retail in there.
Next chart, John. This is options premiums spent in 2023.
Holy shit!
Look at Tesla. Tesla is still so off the
It's
charts.
almost $400 billion.
Wait, $400 billion in options premiums spent in 2023, and Nvidia is still at $100 billion.
That's incredible.
And then
That's
it's
so much
Amazon,
money.
Meta, Apple, Microsoft, Netflix. So this is its own sport.
Tesla's its own wildebeest.
Tesla has been, for the past few years, the most popular options trade in the entire market. And that's why there's times when people think that the options are driving the stock moves themselves. I'm sure you guys have heard about the gamma squeeze.
Yeah.
And there are times that's played out in Nvidia this year, too.
Let's do this chart from Yuri and Timur.
All right, moving on. So Urian, although same thing, I guess. Urian said, I think there is a secular rotation coming from U.S. large cap growth to everything else. But so far, it isn't happening. In terms of global asset allocation, the only rule to remember is that relative performance follows relative earnings, and the U.S. continues to lead on that front. Relative earnings trump relative valuation. So he's got this really great chart where he's looking at the total return of the U.S. versus ex-U.S., and of course, that's up and to the right. And then forward earnings per share, and again, up and to the right. And so the spread between the U.S., I think this is on a forward PE basis, and the rest of the world is high and deserved. And I mean, we talk about this all the time. Will there be a breaking point? Is this just the new steady state where it's U.S. mega cap tech and everything else? I don't know. I feel like I changed my mind.
What's like the question is like, what's the thing that will flip the switch?
But we don't need. So I think actually, I think we asked or not this. Yes, there needs to be a catalyst. Maybe it's the Fed funds rate at 5.25%, although that hasn't worked yet thanks to AI. You don't need to know what the catalyst will be to know or to have high confidence that this will not go on forever.
So as somebody managing international assets for investors, what do you tell people about this question?
So there's no way to predict what's going to happen in the future. So
They must love that answer.
And and
then what?
We're an index, right?
Yeah.
So especially for index investors, the whole point of indexing is because you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. And by the way, I'm fortunate to be working with mostly advisors who then have to give that answer. They have their own answers for their clients. I don't know what their answers are, but that's definitely our answer. And Eric Balchunas posted something yesterday. Shout out Eric, guest of the show. And he said, for the entire 2000s, EM and small cap value are up over 100% each.
Wait, what is this?
I don't know if you guys remember
The last
this.
decade.
When we all started in the industry,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
EM and small cap value were on a tear.
Yes.
And S&P and NASDAQ were down. Everybody wanted EM, remember?
From 2000 to 2009, the S&P was 0% return.
Yeah. So
And you made a lot of money in emerging.
So that could happen. We don't know, but
it seems like impossible now, but
Yeah.
like it happened a decade ago.
it was
2 decades ago.
impossible back then to imagine that emerging markets would have done so terribly for the
Yeah,
next
China was
10 years.
was the engine of the global economy. Look
Even
how that
5
worked
years
out.
ago,
Yeah.
China was still the big.
It's so long ago, though. It's like 15 years of U.S. outperformance ish. So I feel like it should have turned a long time ago. And there have been like moments where you thought it was about to. It just doesn't.
But to Urian's point, it's relative performance, relative earnings trumps relative valuation. The spread has been wide and widening, but these companies keep delivering, and they keep raising the bar and still jumping over it.
Okay, so what's the story where emerging markets or even developed markets have earnings growth then that outpaces U.S. earnings growth? Like if you had to come up with
he's not saying that doesn't have to happen for them to outperform.
Relatively,
they don't have to. The spread on all valuation metrics is so historically wide that it wouldn't take a lot for this to start going the other direction.
in your conversations with advisors these days, what are you hearing about just the state of willingness to invest internationally? Like, what are some of the conversations like?
So we mostly get inbound requests from advisors who are hearing from their clients that they don't want the autocracy drag anymore, right? So they're concerned
Can
about.
you define the autocracy drag?
So yeah, I mean, Russia's market going to zero, China's market being a drag on investor returns in the emerging market space because they have such a huge allocation right now. Autocracy risk being things like, the primary one being business priority risk, right? So as a business, if your priority is to answer to the state versus your customers or your shareholders,
Right.
then there's a cost of doing business that way, and we are subsidizing as foreign investors that cost, and that's probably the biggest cost of doing business in autocracies. But also there's data risk. We don't know the data is accurate or reliable because the government tells you what you can and can't say.
Right.
Transparency risk. We don't know who the murky ownership structures, non-transparent accounting standards.
Right.
So all of those things are risks that you take in autocracies when you're investing there. So mostly our clients are advisors who are trying to look into alternatives.
They want exposure, but they want it differently
Yeah.
than what they're getting in MSCI.
Right.
for
And
example.
there's two types. One that doesn't want the autocracy drag, and the second type that believes that freer markets do outperform in the long run because they have faster recoveries. They use their capital, their capital is allocated more efficiently. Stronger institutions, stronger rule of
So
law.
I want that to be true because I would agree with it philosophically.
Yeah.
That in the long run, the freer a society, the better the stock returns should be for its domestic companies. It must be frustrating when you see like these stretches where Chinese internet stocks double the performance of the rest of the EM.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't last forever. It's more like a rally. But when you see stuff like that, surely people must ask you, like, are we missing the boat? All right, I get it. This is an autocracy, but like, are we missing the boat on where the real money is being made, not owning Tencent and all these other things? Like what's your response to that kind of thing?
So fortunately, we don't have to do that response very much these days. I just put a chart on there of our returns since inception versus EM and EMXC, right? So the outperformance is quite stark in the emerging markets. Now, we've had a couple of very, very rare events. So the war, COVID. So those are very, very rare. So the outperformance, every time I show this chart, I'm like, do not expect this all the time.
No.
But we don't have to answer that right now. And I had no idea that the thesis would play out this quickly. I'm happy that it did. But I think when we first launched,
right, if you're an index emerging ex-China, ex-Russia,
Yeah,
the
look
world
great.
took care of it for you.
yes, but it wasn't just that. Because if you look at the
Okay.
recovery in 2020, for example, we
Right.
outperform ex-China, right? If you look at since inception, we outperform ex-China. And you can zoom in on, that's not the right one, but that's okay. I just added it just 2 seconds ago because I wasn't going to show performance, but if you want to. But mainly like last year, for example, Chile did well. It's a very free market that has very little play in the benchmark indices because of the inflation trade, because they're a high commodities exporter. Chile is also an interesting market because it's a way to kind of play China without playing China. You don't have actually that direct autocracy risk, but there's a lot of trade with China. So if China does well, Chile does catch that.
Oh, I see.
But you don't have that direct autocracy.
But you're not putting money directly into that country.
Yeah, so the government can't say, oh, you're a nonprofit now, like they did to the edutech companies in China. They don't have that risk, these companies in Chile. But you can indirectly kind of catch China growth. So when the reopening was expected, a lot of people were, in these diversified markets like that have Chile in it because they wanted that exposure.
If you don't get a value stock rotation like of meaningful length, it's really hard to make the case that like developed or emerging markets elsewhere are going to outperform the U.S. Are there inklings that in some other parts of the world they're going to grow their own big tech companies at any point? Because I feel like that's like something outside of China
way it could happen.
has not really happened yet. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think about that?
I think the bigger issue is that not an issue actually. It's great for Americans, but just betting against the American economy has not worked.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're kind of making that wager if if you're thinking that EM can outperform on a relative basis, right? That these other economies around the world can outperform ours, and it's been a Teflon economy that just hasn't happened.
Yeah. The economies don't have to outperform for their stock markets too.
That's true.
And it's I would agree, like it's unthinkable what for that to change, but that's happened many times in the past. This does not have to go on forever. But I will wager that you're not hearing from too many individual investors in your DMs that are excited about emerging markets.
I'm not. I hear from professional investors who are concerned about U.S. valuations, and that's often the case I hear made for EM or global stocks. And also exactly what you guys are saying, where this has happened, it can happen completely out of the blue. But for a sentiment check, it's not something people are reaching out to me about right now.
I mean, to be fair, though, that's a different audience than advisors who always have an allocation.
Totally.
But I do think that the outperformance in the U.S. is so sustainable because it is supported by a system of rule of law. And that's what Josh wrote about in 2017 in his famous post, which I hope you guys link here. Because
What did I write? I forgot already.
It's the link between stock markets and rule of law.
I'm sure it was great.
You were talking about you have to honor contracts. You have to,
Yeah.
you have to know that, you have to have private property rights.
Oh, I think
for
that was
the
me
market
being
to work.
anti-Trump without using his name. Well, no, because you remember 2017?
Yes.
He would he's the president. He would go on Twitter and start saying I'm going to shut down Pfizer. And the stock would go down 8%. And everyone was excited about the Trump rally in stocks, which was real. Stock market went up a lot after he was elected. But to your point, I was saying this is maybe.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
This is maybe great today because it's so entertaining. It's probably not good over the long term if we have a situation where somebody in Congress or in the White House can just change the rules on a company because the CEO wasn't deferential to them.
Yeah.
But that was a real thing. We had these Trump tape bombs in that moment. I do remember writing that now.
You actually did quote Matt Levine and said, if the president can, without consulting the courts of Congress, banish U.S. lawful permanent residents, and he can do anything. Or he can. And the reason why the U.S. is a good place to do business is that for the last 220 years, it has built a firm foundation on the rule of law. Right. So yeah, that's exactly what it was.
It's such a double standard, though, because I wrote that during Trump. Now Biden's FTC chair is literally just trying to, unilaterally ban mergers, tried to stop Activision Microsoft, where there's absolutely no overlap whatsoever, et cetera.
Meanwhile, Apple's market cap, just apropos, I guess really nothing, but just getting back to that thing, Apple's market cap is, I think, bigger than all of the German DAX. And so I'm not saying that Europe is somehow going to create the next Apple. I'm just saying that it doesn't take a lot for relative valuation spreads to narrow a little bit.
In the journal, Chinese regulators are banning short selling. Am I reading this wrong or right? Did you read this?
I did. Yes, that sounds crazy.
Let me quote this. Chinese regulators have taken a novel approach to prop up the country's faltering stock market by banning many companies' biggest shareholders from selling. The new rules effectively placed share sale restrictions on about half of the 5,000 plus companies that trade in Shanghai, Shenzhen, and then I don't know. How do you honestly have a stock market and then tell the insiders that work at these companies that they can't make sales?
China Evergrande suspends trading as new trouble Royals property market. I think their property market is at something-year low.
Maybe what he did was short sell. They basically put the CEO under house arrest of Evergrande.
He had it coming.
I don't know what he did. Maybe short sold his stock.
Wait, he short sold his own stock?
No, I'm just making that up.
Oh my God! All right,
I don't know what happened. He's under house arrest. So the stock stopped trading on the Hang Seng.
So if you're an insider though at a publicly traded Chinese company, you now have share sale restrictions.
Yeah.
Are they absolute,
or
do you have to call the right person that you know and be like, I want to sell? Are you guys gonna get mad at me?
The police are gonna come have tea with you if they see you short selling.
So all right. So my opinion is this is why you have a 4 PE on the Russian stock market, for example. It's they're cheap. Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
There's always a reason. So we don't know when these things will reverse, but we do know that it doesn't happen out of nowhere.
Well, they're
There's-
also disappearing their own executives. So insiders who are like the Evergrande
What is
guy.
that? What does
they're
that mean?
holding foreign executives hostage. So there's an exit ban on a Japanese executive that's in China right now. That's reported by the FT.
Is that bullish or bearish? I don't know.
It's not good.
It's not good, right? Okay.
Well, didn't they get rid of Jack Ma for a while? I think he resurfaced,
Yeah,
right?
he
He's okay?
resurfaced. But I mean, if you're a Japanese executive or an American executive and go do China business and you can't come out, I mean, that's so many issues there. Freedom of movement.
It's not great.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of issues. I mean, so they're not doing anything to convince foreign investors to go back in. It's the biggest outflows from China, biggest capital outflows out of China since late 2015, beginning of 2016. What happened then? Right? They propped up the stock market by telling people to margin their houses to buy stocks. Stock market went up, it crashed, and then they banned short selling. And even at that time, they banned selling. Not short selling. Selling was illegal.
Selling.
For some point. At some point, you couldn't sell. So you had your taxi drivers on the street margining their house to buy stocks.
Wait, if
goes
you
up,
can't
it crashes.
sell, how do people buy?
I don't know, but you couldn't get out basically.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not.
Don't
it's
ask
not
questions like that. Put this tweet up. Jared Dillian. Shout to Daily Dirt Nab.
Yeah,
Do you know Jared?
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Bloomberg tweeted something like the relentless sell-off in Chinese stocks has made the market the worst performer in the world over the past 3 years, but some funds are looking to unearth pockets of value. And Jared, just from the top rope, de jure communist country disappears executives, expropriates property, and seeks to start World War III, but some funds are looking to unearth pockets of value. I don't know, I feel like that's too far. If we want these markets to open up, isn't there a case to be made that like you want there to be international investors that have some say and some stake? Because it's not true that a country would open up its stock market to the outside world and then never listen to anything that those investors say. What do you think about that?
The actions that have been taken so far don't seem to be catering to international investors at all. It just doesn't
Not at
even
all.
seem
Yeah.
like where their head's at. So I think it's kind of besides the point almost for the country, and it's an afterthought how U.S. investors or investors.
Can that change? Like, is it possible that gets better? Like I don't know. I don't know if it's a regime change or.
I don't think they're going to change their mind.
So here's the thing that's preventing it from changing. For them to change, open up more, be more transparent, open up more to the opinions of foreign investors, maybe they would have to let go of some of their own power. So the CCP has so concentrated their power at this point in China that to open up at all would mean that they would have less power. There'd be more power going to foreign influence, people's opinions, and right now they're not going in that direction.
They're not going to pivot to democracy, you don't think?
I mean, they're not right now. I hope they do.
Is this why executives like Tim Cook are talking more and more about India, like in their?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm so bored with China because like that's all we ever talk about, especially in emerging markets.
Yeah. Well, it's the biggest. Is it the biggest weight in MSCI?
Yeah,
EM?
30
it's like 35%. It was 42% as height in 2020.
Wasn't the saying like, I mean, it was the world. Was it the world sneezes? The U.S. sneezes, the world catches a cold, or was it China?
It was both at some point.
Wait,
Well,
Jack-
That's been used on both.
but China didn't sneeze. They vomited, and we're still pretty healthy.
Yeah. So right now,
Right? Like the world economy is
it's different this
is-
time. It's like China's doing all these things to close themselves off more, and then trying to blame the U.S. for decoupling when actually they're doing the decoupling. They're taking back their pandas, like
Excuse
the
me?
pandas.
Say more.
Literally,
Is that a metaphor?
No, literally. Bloomberg just reported. I put this on here. They are Come on, they're taking back all the pandas that are in the U.S.
Don't you touch the Bronx Zoo pandas.
Excuse me.
They're going
Take
back.
'em. Excuse me.
What do you mean take 'em? Pandas are so
Can
cute.
you think of a more useless animal on the planet?
Whoa.
No disrespect. I
Why
know
are
they're.
pandas catching?
I know they're endangered. Sorry. I know they're endangered.
What in the
I
world?
want them to thrive. Let me. I'm sorry. you're
All
right.
right, go ahead.
I want pandas to thrive, but I have stood nose to nose with a panda with glass in between at a zoo. I have 2 children.
I have stood nose to nose. Can you hear what this guy's saying?
I have been to several panda encounter enclosures at several zoos around the country.
Nicole, your thoughts on
They
this?
literally eat. Hold on. They eat 18 hours a day. I could do that. That's not. They literally all they do is literally sit down and eat bamboo by the metric ton.
That's enough. I stand with pandas. I love pandas. They're
It's
so
a
cute.
non-productive asset.
Okay.
Take the
Wait,
pandas.
what else are they trying to take?
No, just the pandas.
Just
You can
the
take my
pandas.
pandas,
They
but
don't want.
take
They
my
don't want
freedom.
any. Yeah, the rest of us they don't want. So yeah, no, I think. The conversation has truly changed. When we first started this, everybody thought, you're crazy to not have China in your fund. Now everybody's coming to us because we don't have China. But it's not just China. There's 23 other emerging markets out there. Poland. What is Poland up this
John,
year?
pop this chart
Like
with
30%.
with Poland, Mexico, Taiwan, and Brazil. So what is this showing? This is returns from December 30th, 2022 through last week.
When I popped
You're
this
cherry
up,
picking the 4 emerging markets that have
I
actually
am.
gone up. Okay, but you're making.
These are the ones that went up more than 10% in the
We're
year
going to
to
allow
date.
it because you're making a point. Go ahead.
What's the
Right.
point?
These
Thank
are
you.
I'm purposely picking the ones that went up more than 10% in the year to date, and I chose this time frame because I know Michael likes shorter time frames.
Yeah. Do you have anything that's dated back to
No,
yesterday?
Intraday.
You can actually zoom out on this, and it'll tell the same story.
What is the story that this is telling?
Basically, there's other emerging markets out there that you're missing out on if all you talk about is China or all you have is market cap weighted indexes. So
What's going on in Turkey this year? Isn't the Turkey stock market going nuts?
That's an
it's up,
autocracy and
yeah.
a half, though.
So,
So
how do you
I'm not
explain
gonna
yourself?
Yeah, you missed Turkey.
Turkey, actually, we have a rule in the methodology that's a freedom momentum decline rule. So if it declines too quickly in any given year, and we use Freedom House for this, this is like if they go more than 5 points in 1 year.
Quantitatively.
And not the price.
Quantitatively,
Not the price.
on the Freedom House scale.
Freedom what
not
scale?
the price. Freedom House.
That's
House.
the data.
They do freedom metrics.
Got it.
We use Cato and Fraser for the main part, for the main country weighting, but we use Freedom House for this one rule. And the only country that ever invoked this rule was Turkey. So Turkey triggered this rule in 2018 because they fell more than 5 percentage points or 5 points on the Freedom House
So they got
scale.
booted?
They got booted. And they never came back in. So that's my Turkey explanation.
A lot of
for you.
alpha in Turkey right now. Stock. Country's making a 52-week high.
Yep.
We didn't get to these options trades, Mike. But I want to go here next. This is so we mentioned options before, but just the Journal has this great article about and it's yours, Gunjan. So congratulations. This is a great article. This is from September 12th. Amateurs pile into 24-hour options. I wanted to make sure we got to these charts. I don't think people understand the extent to which this is going on and how widespread it is and how much it's affecting the market. What is this chart that we're looking at?
This is average daily options volume going back to the 1990s. And as you can see, things have just totally
Wow.
taken off since 2020, when the pandemic kind of ushered in this rush of rookie traders who wanted to suddenly trade options.
So is this 10x the amount of options trading that was going on in the 90s? Am I reading this right?
You're
is it
reading
more?
it completely right. It may even be more than that. Volumes
40x.
have doubled from 5 years ago. Doubled.
But these people got wiped out. Or I should say, the stocks that they were trading, the meme stocks, the high beta, high flying stocks all got killed, but they didn't leave. It's like the I'm not leaving thing from DiCaprio. They're finding new ways to gamble, and they're not going
Here's
anywhere.
here's one of Gunjan's best friends. Lucas Summer woke up around, this is one of your pen pals, woke up around the time the stock market opened and still bleary-eyed opened his Robinhood app. Very good writing. So it's like it was a dark and stormy night. All right. He had a hunch it would be a good day for stocks, scooped up some options contracts that would profit if the NASDAQ rose that day. By the time he was toweling off from a shower, though, the market had ticked down and his options had taken a big hit. Quote, "That's $1,000 shower," he recalled. Soon after, the options he bought for $3,000 were worth $80. Okay, but it could also be $80 to $3,000. This is the game these people have chosen to play.
That's the game. They want the convexity, right? That's why people are playing this game, for that high risk, high reward situation.
So this guy probably was in GameStop 3 years ago. Like it's the same. You think it's the same people?
It's definitely some of the same people, but I think the meme thing has evolved. As you said, like risk appetite is still so high in all corners of the market.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's still like people really do
I would have
want
thought
to
last
make
year
bold
would have
bets.
killed that off.
I think
Wouldn't
a lot
you?
of people did. I think a lot of people thought it would wash out the speculation in the market, but take a look at high growth stocks this year. How some of these AI stocks have been trading.
So say-
Crypto's up on the year.
This is good for you. This is your beat. You don't want this thing to go away. You have this thing nailed. This is also from your article. I would not have guessed the number was this big. Between November 2019 and June 2021, according to the London Business School, the people trading these options have lost $2.1 billion. Where did that $2.1 billion go?
Ken Griffin.
Is it Citadel?
The market makers
course.
are making a ton of money from this. And it's interesting. I spoke with those academics and they were like, this is a really, really conservative estimate we're giving you. Because in order to get a paper through and approved, you have to be really strict with how you're coming to these numbers. So that's a conservative number.
It's interesting because it's not, if you look at like Robinhood's quarterly reports, which I'm always very much looking forward to, they're not getting new users. Like their accounts, the number of accounts on the platform are not growing. And yet, is it just the people aren't leaving? Like, are there new people that are coming into the stock market gambling, or is it the people that have been here?
It's a mix of both. It's really important to remember that options are a cash cow for the Robinhoods, the Weebles, the Schwabs of the world. They make double the amount from payment for order flow in options than they do in stocks.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly lucrative.
And that's because the spreads are so wide.
It's wider spreads. It's also tougher to get it right with options. You could, as you said, you could put in 500, 1,000 and kind of lose it all in a few minutes.
I used to trade options back in the day, and you would buy an option. It's like, all right, I hit buy $500. Like literally, the order gets executed. It's like $390. It's like, wait, what just happened?
It's called the schmuck tax, Michael.
Yeah, I was
Welcome to Wall Street.
happy to pay it.
If Robinhood didn't exist, like the market makers would have had to invent it. It is literally the perfect mousetrap for transferring money from unsophisticated people directly into the pockets of
Directly.
like literally. Like,
And it's structural. It's not like they're taking the other side. I mean, they're making the market. And so it's not like the retail traders have to win or lose. It's not zero sum, right?
Well, many of the retail traders are losing money. But you're right that the market makers are taking the other side.
But my
These
point is,
trades
even if they were making gobs of money,
yeah.
Citadel would still be making.
Well, they make
with
money
them.
from the spreads,
Exactly.
right? By buying and selling all day long.
right, it's not even the
profit that.
directional; it's just the execution.
Yep.
So So I saw the movie. Did you see the Dumb Money yet?
I did.
What'd you think?
I thought it was entertaining, but I think
What a pause! What a hesitance!
No, I didn't mean to hesitate. I
Okay.
did think it was well done. It was entertaining. I don't think it told the full story. These meme stock traders did not come out on top the way that the movie
I so
showed.
agree with that. I didn't dislike the movie for it, but it had to end somewhere. And they chose not to have it end in 2022 when all of these things go up in flames.
So it's hard to watch the movie. You were so close to the story. For the layperson,
Who played you in the movie? I forgot.
do you think the layperson would enjoy the movie? Is it fun?
It is fun. To be honest, I really like the soundtrack. There was some like fun hip hop
Yes.
music. It was good. Yeah, it
Yes.
was entertaining.
It opens with a song that's too offensive for me
Yep.
to name.
The Cardi B song.
Is that Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B? I
think
forgot.
maybe both. I thought maybe both.
Oh, they're both on that song? I thought it was Nicki and Megan. I'm not saying the name of the song. Nicole's shaking her head. Don't worry, I'm not going to say it.
Cardi and Megan.
It was Cardi and Megan. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
Gen Z in the house. What's up? What's up? Thank you for that. Anyway, I won't say the name of the song, but you're right. You know what else I thought they nailed? The masks and just mask wearing culture.
Wait, oh my God. I was about to say, what are you talking about? I forgot.
Because the whole movie, but what they did, which I don't think a lot of people noticed, the rich people are never wearing masks. Like the hedge fund managers, you never see them in a mask. The only people wearing the masks are the people that are trading on Robinhood because they also work at GameStop or work in a hospital. And they didn't like explicitly say it, but I picked up on that, and I thought that was an important context for the story. Like, why are these people so pissed that they're revenge trading Well, look at their lives. So they start out with Seth Rogen. He's yelling at a realtor on the phone. He's got a huge house in Florida. He's trying to buy the lot next to it so he can knock down the house and build a tennis court so his family could play tennis during the pandemic. Like, that's like literally the first scene, right? The first scene you see of him.
He's just as like angry about this tennis court renovation and why it isn't done yet as he is about his GameStop losses.
Why was it GameStop? Like, why that stock?
So that was the stock that Keith Gill got behind, Roaring Kitty. And he initially stirred up a lot of Reddit attention around
but there's
it.
also a component to it where, like, why GameStop? There are other stocks that were just as shorted
Because it was gamers. Oh, because it was
it's
short
gamers.
Yeah.
Because these 22-year-olds grew up going to GameStop. It was something that they felt connected to. That if there were a way to defend it against evil or whatever, like. They got more passionately behind that than they did like Bed Bath and Beyond.
Has he been in the news? What happened to him? Does he still own the stock?
So we interviewed him at the Journal in 2021, and that was the only interview he ever gave, and he never gave another interview.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is he still on Wall Street Bets?
He stopped posting around that time. He stopped posting screenshots around the time of that congressional
I'm
testimony.
sure that became ridiculously overwhelming, right? He's just like a regular dude who all of a sudden gets national spotlight. That's a lot.
The
He
movie,
was getting a lot of
he's the
attention.
hero of the movie. He's like, Paul Dano plays him, and he's awesome actor. Like, everything he's in is so good. Are you surprised they made him the hero of the movie? I felt like he was the easiest person to, like, make you feel sympathetic for and want to see win. Right?
Totally. And they paint him in the movie as this really blue-collar guy, like the juxtaposition between his home in a modest Massachusetts suburb and Ken Griffin and Steve Cohen. It was really stark. You know, I thought another thing the movie really nailed was like the Robin Hood confetti.
Yes.
Kind of
Every
throughout
scene.
the movie. Yeah. People are just like, bye, bye. It's like celebration.
That was definitely a big part of the whole thing. It's like it's a party.
It's literally gamified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the pet pig that they had in Steve Cohen's office. This is not a thing that exists.
I thought it did
Are
a
you
few
sure?
years ago.
Did it really? He had a pig walking around his mansion in
It was a panda.
Connecticut.
It was a panda.
It was a panda. I knew I didn't like those things. All right, I thought it was okay. I did not dislike it. I think people should see it anyway, just because it will teach you a little bit about how the whole thing went down. I do wish that there were a coda where they're like, oh, by the way, don't ever do this. And most of these people ended up giving back everything that they made. But
By
I
the
guess-
way, Wall Street made an absolute killing off of
Killing.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they feasted on all of this activity, which they also don't.
They killed Gabe Plotkin so bad he had to buy the Hornets.
They also don't show you in the movie. You guys have fun today on the show?
So fun.
Yes?
Thank you guys.
You have fun today on the show? Am I going to get one of these hoodies or what?
It's in the mail.
Okay.
Literally.
Okay, quadruple XL for me, please. I like to layer underneath.
China's
have
going
to
to try and
resend.
take it back.
Yeah.
This is not made in China.
We do this thing to end every show where we give out favorites to the audience. So something you're reading, watching, listening to. Perth, start us off. What are you into these days?
I saw an interview with Kaja Kallas just one weekend. I was on the treadmill watching Bloomberg, and she is the prime minister of Estonia, a very small market. It's a frontier market, but very free, like freer by our Cato and Fraser metrics than the U.S. Right? And she said that when they when they got their independence and had to write their laws, they started from nothing because there were no laws. There was no rule of law before. And she said that when they realized they would have to have rule of law, basic property rights to attract foreign investors. And so that's why they wrote their laws this way. And now they're one of the freest countries in the world, most digitized in the world.
What was it before it was its own country? Was it part of Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an Eastern European post-Soviet nation.
Okay, very cool. Where can we see that? Or
It's on
read
Bloomberg.
that?
You can link it.
Okay.
Yeah, I still put the link on here.
And what's Red Roulette?
Oh, it's a book by Desmond Shum. He's a guy who was very successful in China, and then they basically kidnapped his wife, and that's the story of it. I just started it. It's so far so good. So
Is it like Red Notice?
it's like Red Notice, which I noticed you have on your shelf.
How good was that book?
When is
so
that
good.
going to become a movie?
I can't
think
believe
it
hasn't
is.
already.
Oh, it
I
is?
think it's soon, or maybe already done. I don't know. But they were making a movie of it.
Okay.
And then there's a second book, something Frozen. Anyway, there's a second book by.
What a wild book that was.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Also,
And
Shut Up and Keep Talking.
Shut Up
like,
and Keep Talking by Bob Pisani. We
That's-
had Bob on the show
Yes, you did.
when it came out.
He's
The
so
best.
good. Yeah.
The best.
You know Bob? You're a CNBC contributor. Isn't he like the nicest guy
yes,
ever?
he is.
So he was at Future Proof, and he's such a superstar.
Yeah.
Like he just has a line of people. They don't even want to take a picture with him or whatever. They just want to talk. They just want to like FaceTime with Bob. And I thought that was so cool. He's been around like 30 years, on TV 30 years. So I thought that was pretty cool.
He's
you like the book?
So far, so good. I'm reading multiple at once and just started each of them. So.
I do that too. I read two at once and I don't finish either.
Same.
That's my.
One day you can just insert them
There we go.
all
See,
into your
that's why.
brain.
Michael's gonna come up with it. Gunjan, what's your favorite for this week?
So I read this incredible New Yorker feature piece.
So did I.
On the Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh, I did-
But
I
I want
too.
you to. But I want you to talk about it. Tell us about it.
No, it was just a fascinating look at his parents. You know,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine having kids and having a kid who gets
They created him.
right. They created him and they were
It's tough.
they went on the ride with him. You know, they participated in the
aided
riches.
and abetted. You could almost say.
That's what people are
I
saying.
didn't finish the article. I feel like I read it for 20 minutes. I'm only halfway through it. But there was one part where the mom was said like he's incapable of lying.
That line blew my mind. It blew my mind.
She seems like I don't want to listen. I don't want to comment on people's like parents or whatever. Like he did the crimes, but then you read these emails
Alleged.
where they're like, "Yo, give me $1 million." Like the parents seem worse than the kid in this case.
And she was an ethics professor. I mean,
that's the joke.
tough.
That's the joke.
really-
And then the part that really struck me is the reporter does such a good job of this, laying out where they signed a deed on a Bahamas property, like a $15 million Bahamas property. And then they were saying that they didn't fully understand or there was some mix-up in terms of signing the paperwork and
They
stuff.
signed the wrong papers. I read that.
Yeah,
What?
and the reporter points out that they seem so detail oriented with everything else. So it just raises all these questions about parenting.
So
and
the trial starts in October, did they say?
yeah, I think it starts next week.
Well, no, but on the heels of that article, what was already on the way was a suit against the parents from FTX, the estate of FTX. John Ray sued the parent because in the process of all of his work, he starts uncovering all this evidence that the parents are like helping themselves to millions of dollars. I have a theory. They're in this like Stanford bubble. Basically, in the last 15 years, anyone that's even driven through Stanford is a billionaire at this point.
And they've been
Like,
in the same house for 30 years.
it's like a billionaire factory.
Yeah.
And a lot of these kids are on campus. So they have like, they see these kids come, these are professors. So they see these kids come in. The kid drops out of school 2 years later and founds like Airbnb.
But wait, if they're,
like they're
if,
watching
but
this
hold on.
wealth creation.
If their kid is worth 30 billion, whatever the alleged number was, and they're trying to take, it's not. They didn't know they were taking the customers' money.
Well, we
That's a
don't,
good
we
point.
can't pass judgment on that, but the estate seems to think that they were like looting this company. Like if you read this suit, it reads really badly. Like,
No, but maybe they just thought it was his money.
but so
I don't
But
know.
they're involved is the point.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
Got it.
But also as a parent, how do you
It's
even
rough.
think about
It's
that?
rough.
Like, aren't you inclined to think your child is not stealing people's money or is being careful?
And to this degree, it's not like he robbed a
Why,
store.
oh, that's right. That's an interesting question. Why are they so unskeptical about this? Did they just really believe he was destined for greatness his whole life and that this was normal? Because this kid amassed a $30 billion fortune in like a year. Like it's not like he invented something and then over 10 years he built a company. It was overnight, billions and billions and billions of dollars. Why weren't they at all skeptical? These are educated people.
no one was skeptical. Wall Street wasn't skeptical.
I wasn't.
Everyone else was in the same boat as his parents.
The guy just showed up, and he's like a billionaire, and he owns the naming rights to all these arenas. You're just like, oh, okay, I guess it's crypto. I don't.
Yeah, this is
I
how
don't
crypto
know.
works. But I think the parents are the most likely to go along for it. I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't know. Maybe not. But I would think they would be even more inclined to believe in
Are
his
you covering?
greatness.
Are you covering the? Who's covering the trial for you guys?
We have a few reporters on it.
It's
this
going to be a
week.
circus.
Can you muscle your way in there? Can you elbow your way into the front?
I try to be a good colleague, but I'm sure they, to be honest, need extra hands.
Do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be exciting? I do.
I do. I can't wait to.
There's going to be like a lot of like crazy testimony.
Are there going to be like cameras allowed in or?
I'm not sure. I know we will have some reporters in the courthouse. They're going to be blogging and covering
Will
it.
they wear the spectacles if I can get them a pair? Will they wear the?
I mean, what is consensus now that he's going to go to jail?
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to jail.
Can you imagine if he doesn't?
The judge basically threatened them and is like, "You're probably going to jail." Like the last reporting that I saw, the judge made some remark like, "If you're found guilty, you're going."
They all turned on him.
There's nobody testifying on his behalf that was in the inner circle.
Right.
They all flipped,
What a
which is
scene.
what they probably should have done because they were all criming. They're criming up a storm, right? You like how I use that
Yes.
phrase? Okay.
Good word.
All right, Michael, you have a favorite for us?
Hashtag Chad gets the axe.
Say
No,
more.
I'm kidding. I'll leave that for animal spirits.
Okay.
I was watching last night. Leonard Cohen. I think this might be old. There's a documentary called Hallelujah, and it's about his life and just a remarkable
Oh my
poet,
gosh, I want to watch that.
musician.
I
It's on
love that
Netflix.
song so much. I was walking through
Yeah, who
London
doesn't?
this summer under a bridge, and this guy was singing that song. I didn't have any pounds on me. I almost dropped my phone number in there.
Did you cry?
I mean, no, he didn't cry, but he was
No, did
so
you?
good.
And it's a very moving song?
No, but I filmed the whole thing. I'll
Yeah.
send it to you. It's so good. And the acoustics under that bridge, it was like the perfect song, the perfect location.
If you're in the New York City subway, at least when I was there, like you would see a guy on a guitar playing that song like I don't know once a day.
The Jeff Buckley version is superior.
Agreed.
Okay. I started rewatching this show Justified. Did you ever see it?
No.
Okay.
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, there's like not a lot of good TV. So I started watching it again.
So worth it? I never saw it.
I wish Duncan were here. He'd be into this. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's from 2010.
Does it feel dated?
Yeah, they have flip phones. But it's like a crime drama show. I don't know, it's awesome.
Can I just say one thing before we wrap?
Yeah.
I did discuss this on Animal Spirits, but you all are of the age. I saw something on Instagram. It was like music intros from the 80s of like shows we grew up with. And it like, I don't know, I almost made me want to cry. I felt so old and young. It was like Growing Pains and Wonder Years
Oh,
and
yeah.
Who's the Boss and Charles and Chargers, by the way, is the
They don't have shows like they don't
weirdest
have
show of
music
all
like that
time.
anymore.
Charles Scott Baio was like an au pair or something.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
I watched all those shows because I was always home alone. Like,
Remember TGI Friday?
yeah.
Were you a latchkey kid?
Yes, totally.
What's Latchkey?
Like, you don't know where your parents are. They don't know where you are. You
That's
have a key
like
to the
a
house.
thing. My generation, a lot of the kids came home from school to them with,
Rob
with a
knows.
key
Oh.
to get into the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I
of
even
course.
didn't even use I just jumped in the window. Like, I literally didn't even use the door.
Are you like my generation, or are you?
I am
feel
your
like
generation, dude.
You are.
Yes.
So different strokes. Like what was
Yes.
your what was your go to after school? Facts of Life.
I mean, I just watched Nickelodeon like 24 hours.
Nickelodeon.
I watched
24/7.
X-Men and Spider-Man.
All right, my last favorite. I went to see Wu-Tang and Nas last night at Barclays.
Oh my God.
You feel some kind of way about that? You a
I
Nas
love
fan or a Wu-Tang
I
fan?
love both, and I love concerts.
Okay.
I think some of like the best moments of my life have
Really?
happened at
First
First
concerts.
concert?
First concert?
Yeah.
What was it? Backstreet Boys.
I was gonna
Oh my
guess that.
gosh, that is so.
I'm going to a Pitbull and Enrique concert
Oh,
in
that's
a
gonna
few
be fun.
weeks, which I'm really excited
Get
about.
ready to dance.
Wow.
The show is great. Nas is 50.
What?
And his first album he put out, he was like a teenager. And I think he's 4 years older than me. I took the whole journey with him. Like I got his first album. I've bought every album since. Yes, I still use the word album. I know there's streams now, but whatever. Like it was really cool
album.
to just watch this guy get his flowers on stage. And Wu-Tang, they had every single member. And ODB is dead, but his son comes out now. And he's got the braids and he does it was very
Was Barry Man the next cousin there?
no no it was very cool. Anyway, shout to Nas and Wu-Tang. All right,
Love
we're
that.
gonna wrap up for today. Do we have anything we need to do here, Nicole?
Where are we going in a couple of weeks?
We have to promote something,
yeah.
right?
We're going to North Carolina, Charlotte.
Yeah, so we said this on YouTube the other night. I just want to remind the audience we are doing a live Compound and Friends taping in Charlotte. That'll be Tuesday, November 7th. We have not released official details yet. If you want to be first on the list, send an email to askthecompoundshow@gmail.com. John, Duncan, and Nicole are monitoring that email
Subject line Charlotte.
inbox very aggressively. Put subject line Charlotte Live, and you will be among the first. Tickets will be limited. All proceeds are going to No Kid Hungry, our favorite charity, And we always have a lot of fun when we take the show on the road. So make sure to send us an email if you're going to be in the Charlotte area and you want to hang. All right, thanks so much to our very special guests, Gunjan Banerjee. Where can people follow you? What's your, other than your byline on Wall Street Journal?
I am on Twitter at GunjanJS.
And you want lots of DMs.
Bring them on.
Okay, investor DM.
It's
All
gonna be
right,
a disaster.
Perth Toll. What an amazing job on the show today. How do people follow you?
I'm also on Twitter, though I don't tweet as much anymore.
Good for you. Smart.
I'm following your footsteps there.
Yeah.
The fund site is freedometfs.com,
Okay.
and that's about it.
And where could they follow you, though? Are you
Twitter.
LinkedIn person?
I'm a
Twitter
LinkedIn.
person?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn.
What's your
Yes.
address?
It's Perth Toll.
Where could they send you mail? All right. Hey, thanks so much, guys, for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much to the listeners. Make sure to leave us a rating and review. If you had fun, that is the best way to tell the algorithm that people similar to you would also enjoy the program. Please leave us ratings and reviews. We love them. Thank you so much. See you next week.